One way, yeah, sometimes. Hi, welcome back to another video episode of Club Fed Truth Stories. My name is Sean, and I did 52 months at a federal prison camp, and now I make videos to help people that are going to federal prison, to the low security federal prisons. Gonna do a video today on how to use the First Step Act to get a year off your sentence, to go home early to a home confinement or to a halfway house without using Rdap. If you can get the Rdap, that's another year and another 6 months halfway house. But first, you want to get out of prison. So we will do that right now. A little magic there. I'm in my office, or am I? Let's see. It's not working like it was supposed to. So, okay, I'm gonna change this right now. I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of certificates of ACE classes and courses I took while I was at Florence Federal Prison Camp in Florence, Colorado. Now, at the time I was doing my time, the First Act wasn't around. It came into play around 2018, and it didn't even start actually being in effect for another year or two, and I just got out of prison. But let's start with some simple questions. What is the First Step Act? Let's find out. Let's ask Google. What is the First Step Act?
According to Wikipedia, the First Step Act, formerly known as the Formerly Incarcerated Reenter Society Transform Safely Transitioning Every Person Act, is a bipartisan criminal justice bill passed by the 115th Congress and signed by President Donald Trump in December 2018.
That's a mouthful. What the fuck did she just say? Let's see. Let's ask another question. What does the First Step Act do?
According to Bob, the First Step Act requires the Attorney General to develop a risk and needs assessment system to be used by Bob to assess the recidivism risk and criminogenic needs of all federal prisoners and to place prisoners in recidivism-reducing programs and productive activities to address their needs and reduce this risk.
You guys get all that? So you don't have to watch the rest of the video. That was a lot of, mumbo jumbo. So why don't let's put it into plain words, layman's terms. So I know the First Step Act did three things. If you got busted for cocaine as opposed to powder cocaine, for crack instead of powder cocaine, for crack you get like 25 years for an ounce of crack, but an ounce of powder cocaine, you might get 5 years. So they made the harsh crimes not harsh sentencing anymore. So guys that were doing 20 years and 25 years, all of a sudden only had to do 10, and they've been there for 15, so they let them all out. Also, you get 54 days credit good time for every year you do. It used to be 47 days, and they weren't calculating it right. And they had supposed to do this a long time ago. It forced them to give us 54 days a year. So guys that had been there for 10 years, right? They were getting so they were owed 7 extra days for every year they were there. A guy had been there 10 years, had 70 days coming. So, a couple months. So guys will get that taken off their time. Some guys got released. I did a 52-month sentence. I got like 26 days to go home early because it was 4 years and 4 months. So let me show you about this First Step Act on here. Where is that here? I'm going to share this with you. So this is the earned time credits, and I'll just kind of read it to you. I'm going to keep it brief, and I'm going to go over how you get these earned time credits. So the third thing I know that the First Step Act does is you can get up to 12 months home confinement or halfway house time. You get to go home early. You don't get released to be free. You'll either go to the halfway house or home confinement. Now, home confinement is going to be like prison. It's going to be with an ankle monitor, or ankle bracelet. They're going to call you like every 2 hours. They're going to visit you. They're going to drug test you. They're going to let you go to work and do things like that, but it's all got to be approved. But it's much better than prison. So, having said all that, there's something called acquired earned time credits, ETCs. And it says here, all eligible persons earn 10 days of ETCs for every 30 days of successful participation in evidence-based recidivism reduction programming or productive activities. So you get, for every 30 days of participation, you get 10 days earned time credits. And that's for programming or productive activities, which leaves it wide open. Productive activities. Does that mean if I'm working out? Am I playing softball? Am I doing volleyball? That's all productive activities. So it's a little loose, and they're still trying to figure it all out. It also says persons in a minimum or a low risk category who over 2 consecutive assessments, and I'll explain what that means, have not increased their risk category shall earn an additional 5 days of time credits for every 30 days of successful participation, again, in an evidence-based recidivism reduction programming or productive activities. That's a mouthful. So some people get 10 days for every 30, other people get 15 for every 30. Who gets to 15? You got to be in a low risk category. That's going to be your guys at the camps and the lows. Sorry, you penitentiary guys. You still can get them, but you can't get the 15 days. You're stuck with the 10 days. So it says over 2 consecutive assessments. So an assessment. Every 6 months, they're going to do a 6-month review or an assessment with you at your camp or your low. And I'm not sure how the mediums of penitentiaries work. They might not bother at 6 months. Guys are doing 20, 30 years there. You're probably lucky to get a yearly review there. But for all my low security, non-violent friends out there facing prison, you count. You can get 15 days for every 30 days of programming or productive activities you do. But so here's the thing. That's 2. So every 6 months to do a review. So you need 2 in a row. And also you can't have any shots, any write-ups. A shot is a write-up. So you've done anything wrong. You sold some chicken and they wrote you up for it. You got caught with a cigarette and they wrote you up for it. Sometimes you get caught for these things, but they don't write you up. They just tell you don't do it again. But you do any write-ups, you're not going to get these earned time credits according to them. So it also says here, where was it about the word? Oh yeah. ETCs can be used when accumulated credits are equal to remainder of prison term. So if I've got a year's worth of earned time credits, they have to be equal to my prison term, to the remainder of time in. So in other words, if I got a year's worth, I still got to have a year left. Well, that makes sense. Where was the thing about? Oh, here we go. For supervised release, now this is the home confinement. Okay, you got to have a minimum of low risk for your last assessment. Okay, you still got to be a good boy. But it says warden approval. After determining no danger to society, good faith effort to lower recidivism risk through programming and unlikely to recidivate. And this is all going to be up to the warden. So if the warden thinks you're worthy and you're not going to come back to prison and you're not going to break any more laws, you're not a danger to society, he will approve these time credits. So this is kind of all going to be up the warden gets the last word. But it's not what the law is supposed to be. You do these programs, these classes, you should get the time off. But see, you got to read into this stuff. Anyways, having said all that, let me show you all these courses that I took. I took about 29 different classes and courses while I was there. A lot of them were 12-week-long courses, which is 3 months, which should give me, well, so see, here's something else that doesn't make sense. So you get 10 days of earned time credits for every 30 days of successful participation. What do they mean by a day? Is it if I go to class for an hour a day, is that count as a full day? Some classes I took a culinary school, I was there 6, 7, 8 hours a day. That I could see that counting as a day, but I took other classes and we met twice a week for 3 months. Does that each day count as? How do they calculate this? And nobody seems to know the answer. So I'm just going to assume that for every day I take a class, I'm going to get one. Every 3 days of a class, I'll get 1 day off my sentence, or every 30 days. So let's go over these certificates. Let me show you what kind of classes they offer, and then you can be the judge from there. All righty. Let's get to here. Are you confused yet? It's complicated. So I'm just going to go over these real quick. Here's what they offered when I was there. Okay, so I took a course in real estate. These are ACE classes, Adult Continuing Education. Now, I took this from a guy who was there for real estate fraud. A lot of the inmates teach these night classes. So after chow time, after dinner, they usually have a class at, say, 6 o'clock and a class at 7 o'clock. We had 2 classrooms, and there was 2 classes going on, and it was 4 classes a night. So theoretically, and it was Monday through Friday. So theoretically, I could take 4 classes a night times the 5 nights. I could take 20 classes if I could get into all of them. But I don't know if you take that, but I was taking 6 or 7 or 8 classes every 3 months when they repeat. And I'm just gonna. So it's my guess that this is a 3-month. This is a 3-month. This is a 3-month course. So you would, but I only went 1 day a week. Anyways, I'm guessing for these 8 classes that you're going to get 10 days earned time credits. So I took this one class and it's going to give me 10 days off my sentence. Doesn't sound like a lot, but when they start adding up, because I took like 29 of them, so that's 290 days off. But some of them were a lot longer. I'll just go over these real quick. This is kind of what they offer. So this was my career technical program, restaurant management. This course was 900 hours. This was that culinary school. So that was almost a year long. So that at least give me 3 or 4 months to go home early, 900 hours. Like I said, it was almost a year long. There's 3 or 4 months. There's a lot of classes like that. They've got welding, they've got solar, they've got plumbing, electrical, HVAC, all that kind of stuff. Almost all the prisons have at least 1 or 2 vocational type of classes, and they go for a year or 2 years, and you take that, and there's half the time off right there, because you can only get a year off for these earned time credits. Another one here is, so they put all these together. These are your reentry RPP reentry program. It was insurance, job interview, job search, personal finance, and renting an apartment. They put all that down on one certificate. But again, there's 10 more days off. Here's my Serve Safe certification. This was 200 hours. It took about maybe 2 months to get. So that's 60 days. There's 20 more days off for that class. It adds up, The next one here, small business ACE course. I know a lot of these ones are taught by the inmates. And like I said, we meet once a week for about 12 weeks. Next one, wealth management. That's also taught by an inmate. 7 habits. Now, this was a good 4-month class. We met 2 times a week, 3 times a week. I want to say this was about 400 to 500 hours. This course, the 7 habits of highly effective people on the inside. I did a whole video about that. I'm going to put the link up for that. But that should be 3 or 4 months off your sentence. I think most of the prisons are starting to offer that now, at least the camps. Let's see what else I've got here. There's small business. I did that. Wealth management, did that. Where's the rest? real estate. Oh, residential drug abuse treatment program. That's your RDAP. So that's RDAP is nine anyway. RDAP's the one they get the year off, and it lasts 9 months. But if you're lucky to get the RDAP, that's a whole nother year. So there's 2 years off right there. This is a non-residential drug abuse treatment program, non-RDAP. Now this is 90 days. That'll give you a month, halfway house or home confinement. All the facilities offer the non-RDAP. You don't need anybody can take it. Drugs or no drugs. There's a Money Smart course, and that was about finances. There's certificate awarded for me for a mock job fair interview. So we actually got to go to town, and they gave us shirts and ties to wear, and we had these resumes we typed up, and we got to go to a real job fair. First, we had a practice one where companies came and they went to our visiting room and we did it. And I remember there was people from like Little Caesars. A guy was hiring people to be managers of his restaurant, and there was different companies, and they would hire you on the spot. But that only helped if you were getting out of prison in a couple months. But then they also took us on a day trip. Shirt and ties, out of prison, going to town for a real job fair at the fairgrounds. It was great. You get out of camp for a lot. There's field trips in camp, believe it or not. Mindfulness. Now this was about this is a lot of hours. This is like 200 hours. This one here's got to be worth like 60 days off. Mindfulness, look for that one. Leadership management. That's one of those 1 hour a week classes. Inbound marketing, another one of those. Getting out by going in. There's a book written by inmates, I think maybe out of San Quentin or something. But this book goes around a lot of prisons. I remember the guy who taught this, we called him Chief. So he was a Native American, but he was a real chief from a real tribe, I think out of New Mexico. Chief, if you're watching, man, I hope things are good for you. He was a political prisoner, real good guy, and taught a lot of people this class. My GED, I didn't have a GED when I went there. That's another story why. But GED, you get God, it takes some guys 6 months to get it. You're going to get a lot of time off for your GED. 3 months, good to go home time. Film review. Okay, we watched movies and we wrote about them. Fun class to take. The thing is, you're doing something productive. Drug abuse education course. Now, this is like 120 hours, and it's not RDAP. It's not the non-RDAP. It's something completely different. Drug abuse education. And this one will get you 30 days to go home. And it's another course that anybody can go. It's called CRC Portfolio Program. This is when you're getting ready to go home. Banking, housing and safety, money and consumers, taxes, resume, and job readiness. And that's all these courses I took. And that's good for 10 days on each course. Ancient Rome. We learned about ancient Rome and wrote about it. And I think that's about it for all those classes. So I just want you guys to know there are ways to go home early besides taking RDAP. So I'm going to do a video next about some other ways to get a year off without taking courses, but there's certain jobs that they offer at different prisons. Working on the road crew, working at SeaTac, working at some of the MMC hospitals. And if you take these jobs as an inmate, you got to be qualified as a camper, but they'll give you a year off if you work 2 years at that program. So again, guys, subscribe, like, hit the channel. Hope this video is not too boring for you, but there are ways to go home early from federal prison, and I'll see you in the next video.